One of the great new features in Dreamweaver CS4 is greater integration than we've ever seen before between Dreamweaver and Photoshop. So if you do have the luxury of working with Photoshop CS4, I want to show you another way you can work with images that is even more effective when you're working with Dreamweaver. So I'm going to diminish this. I already have Dreamweaver open in the background. If you're following along, this is a good time to launch Dreamweaver. And I've got some special project files that I've created just for this lesson. So I want you to go into Manage Sites, choose New Site, and this is another version of the photographer site, but this is a very special version I created just for this lesson. So make sure that you distinguish this one. I'm going to call it Photographer-04, so I know this is for Chapter 4. And you'll find this in the project files, which should be on your desktop. In the Chapter 4 folder, you want the Nature Photographer site. So just open the site and choose Select. And now let's get the Images folder, open, select. Just going through the standard site setup process so that you have this site available. And let me close the Insert folder for now and just open the About.html file. Yes, this is a picture of me taking pictures. I was actually in Moscow when that picture was taken by a really wonderful translator that I worked with there. What I want to show you here, however, is how you could add a banner. Remember, there is a banner at the top of each of these pages in the full version of the site. I purposely removed it from this page because I want to show you how you can add a banner, a layered image, still in Photoshop format, in PSD format, and use a feature called Smart Objects that links the optimized image in Dreamweaver with the original high-resolution image in Photoshop. Here's how it works. First, let's go find this Photoshop image. Now, I saved this into my Images folder, but if you notice here, it's a PSD file, not a JPEG. I'm going to click and drag it. Remember, you can always click and drag images to insert them into the page, into this top area where I want my banner. When I let go, Dreamweaver recognizes that this is not already an optimized image. It says, whoa, this is a PSD file that's like almost 10 megabytes. You don't want to put that on a web page. So, ever helpful, Dreamweaver automatically opens that image in this image preview dialog. And I want you to notice that this works very similarly to the Save for Web dialog that we used in the previous lesson. So just like the Save for Web dialog that's built into Photoshop Fireworks and Photoshop Elements, you have an option here for quality and for format. So you can choose GIF, JPEG, PNG. I'm going to make this a JPEG because it's a photograph with millions of colors. And you can choose to reduce it a lot or a little. I'm going to leave this at a fairly high resolution. It's the banner on my page. I want it to look really good. And you can make other changes. You can even go in and actually change the physical size by scaling the percentage size or by changing the height or width. But for now, I'm just going to save it as an optimized JPEG. And because I am optimizing it along the way, Dreamweaver is giving me the option of giving it a new name. I'm going to call this California Nature Banner. Now, don't be confused that there's already the optimized banner in this site. This is now California Nature Banner, a different image that I'm creating from that California Nature Photographer PSD file. So when I choose Save, I'll get the same accessibility attributes dialog that you always get when you insert an image, unless you've turned this off in Preferences. So again, I'm just typing in a text description. If you're inserting a banner or a button or any other image that has text on it, it's good practice to include that text in the alternate text description. And you see now that banner comes right into place just as it was before when I inserted it already converted as a JPEG. But I want you to notice one big difference here in the top left-hand corner. This little icon here informs me that this is a smart object in Dreamweaver. That means that this is still linked to its original Photoshop file. And in fact, if I look down here in the bottom of the Properties Inspector, you'll see in the original field that my naturephotographer.psd file is linked here as the original file for this naturebanner.jpg. Now, the advantage of that is that if I ever want to make changes to this image in the future, I don't have to go over to Photoshop, find the original file, open it up, make my changes, save for the web, come in, replace it, reinsert it in Dreamweaver. All of those steps you had to go through in the past if you wanted to make a change. If I want to do something like, let's say I want to add my middle initial to my name here. Now, because this is a smart object, I can simply click on the Photoshop icon, and Dreamweaver immediately finds that original image and opens it in Photoshop. So you see, this is the photographer.psd file, not the optimized JPEG. And this is a layered file. So when I click on the Layers panel here, I'll see all of the original layers that I had in this image. If I want to add my middle initial, I would do that just as I would edit any other Photoshop document. I'm just going to add the letter C. Thanks, Grandma Carol McCain, for my middle initial. And let me just fix the alignment. So now you see Janine C. Warner. Now, again, I could do Save for Web, save this, optimize it, and reinsert it into Dreamweaver, or I can just save it. Command-S, Control-S, save, no problem. Let's go back to Dreamweaver now and see if Dreamweaver was smart enough to recognize that I made that change. So now look at this little icon. Sure enough, there's a red arrow here instead of a completely green double arrow. That tells me that Dreamweaver knows that my original PSD image has changed, and it's giving me the option of updating this file to match the original. The simplest way to do that is just to right-click or control-click right on that icon and go to Update from Original. And there you are, my grandmother's middle name, my initial, recognized for all time in that banner. And I hope that helps you appreciate how smart objects and the ability to link an original PSD file with an inserted image on the page can really help your workflow in the future. So as you make changes in the future, they're automatically reflected in the images you've already inserted in Dreamweaver.